Declutter for a Better Life by Deaver Brown. Simply Media, Inc. Contents. Part 1. Introduction. Part 2. The Flat Surface, the second greatest invention. Part 3. You. Part 4. Your personal and work area. Part 5. Your kitchen, other living and workspaces. Part 2. Part 6. Summary. Getting things done. Part 7. Better Life ebook and audiobook series. Part 1. Introduction. Clutter is a major obstacle in many people's lives. You understand this because you are reading this book. The good news is there are a number of reliable strategies to declutter your life. 2 of our best-selling ebooks and audiobooks over the years have been Organize Yourself for a Better Life and Busy and Stressed, Creating White Space in Your Life. These readers and listeners requested us to write a specific book about decluttering and simplifying their lives. As you know, these things are harder to do than write about. The challenge is to sift through various approaches and select the few best ones. This has worked well for our readers and listeners with other titles, such as Handling Difficult People, in which we boiled down the types to just 4, and then recommended strategies and tactics to handle each of them. We are applying the same logic here. In short, to have too many solutions is to have none at all. We needed to simplify them so you have a manageable list to work with in your daily life. There is no silver bullet here, just concepts and specific small things you can do to improve your life over time. Part 2. The Flat Surface, the second greatest invention. One of the greatest insights I have ever received was from the CEO of APC, who was an MIT PhD graduate in engineering, who said, "The second greatest invention was the flat surface," I added, "when clear." And he chuckled along with me. So as with the adage of how to cook a chicken, the first thing is you must catch it. Similarly, your first step in decluttering is to keep your flat surfaces clear in your closets, drawers, garage, house, office, and vehicle if you use one. This is an enormous challenge worthy of effort and vigilance to maintain. As General Patton famously said in organizing one of the greatest armies ever mobilized in World War II, first you will clean up and organize yourself. Then you will do the same for your area. And then we will try to transform you into the greatest military force in history. Many believe he did just that by starting with the basics of cleaning up oneself and one's area, before attempting to achieve the larger goal of building a great army. It is said the Nazis only feared one General Patton, and for good reason, as it turned out. We are transferring those goals to you to declutter your life for success and a better life through more efficiency and effectiveness. The task is hard as it was for General Patton. It takes effort in large and small ways. You must be vigilant to do it at all times. And when you slip and fall off the proverbial horse, hustle back up on it again. We all get knocked down and off our objectives. Don't be stressed by that. The key thing is to persist, dust yourself off, and get started towards your goals again. As Shakespeare's king said, "My kingdom for a horse," to try escape with his life from a battlefield. Small things such as one horse can turn out to be decisive events, just like the flat surface. Keep that in mind as you explore the small ways to declutter and improve your life, as well as your larger concepts and goals. Part 3. You. Everything starts with you, as General Patton told his soldiers. Decluttering involves simplifying everything you have and work with. The first place to start is with your clothes. The simplest approach is to discard everything you haven't used or worn in 3 years. This usually eliminates over 50% of your things in your closet and drawers. Anything you might use but have buried away, separate out and see if you use or wear them in the next 90 days. If not, out with those too. Less is more in the decluttering business. Sometimes you need a strong hand with you to help you execute this process. My wife and I had an ironic moment when we stored some things in a friend's barn in Rochester before moving to Boston. One day 5 years later, he called to say there had been a flood and our stuff was a mess. My wife and I looked at each other, nodded, and told him to throw it all out. We hadn't wanted to throw it out before, but we had gotten along just fine without any of it for 5 years. The flood was our savior. Mini storage units can do that for you by letting you send things to an intermediate place and see if you want any of it back again. My wife agreed to do this when we moved out of our big house when the children grew up and left. First, we dumped dumpster loads of stuff. Then we moved what was left and not needed for our new place, but we wanted to keep, into a $525 per month mini storage unit. We gradually pruned it down. We are now down to a $75 per month unit near us. We haven't taken anything out in years. We need another flood to save us from ourselves, from the rest of our unused things. In short, we know better, but still hang on to them. My business school roommate owns and runs mini storage units in California. He says most tenants eventually stop paying and abandon their stuff for his firm to deal with it. He said their auctions never pay much of the overdue rent, but it usually covers their removal costs. So you're in good company if you have this letting go problem. So relax, don't beat yourself up about it, and just move on with all the rest of us imperfect people and do the best you can. And consider having a good horse laugh about it all as a tonic with your version of this if this happens to you. My wife used to buy things she never liked. I recommended she wear or use them once in the next week. If she didn't use them or didn't plan to use them again, I suggested she return or discard them immediately, if not sooner. I coaxed her along by saying we all buy things that don't work for a variety of reasons. This followed the retailer's credo, that your first loss is your best loss. Discard the unneeded as quickly as you can bear to do so you don't suffer twice by having them clutter up your life and remind you of your purchasing error every time you see them. The best example for us was when we learned to leave a movie immediately if we both really didn't like it. Why both pay for it and be trapped by it? This was an enormous liberation for us. We learned to do that in restaurants too. If we got seated but not served, we just left. Clothes are no different, and she bought into the program as did I. I bought fewer things, but also found it just as hard as my wife to discard them. I forced myself to follow my own advice, chuckling about it as I went along. Tip: again, a good laugh about your reluctance to discard things eases the pain as it did for me. Moving is another opportunity to rid yourself of the unnecessary. Whenever I moved, it gave me the opportunity to decide whether I wanted to keep something or get rid of it, then and there. As I discussed before, when moving out of our family house with the 5 children we had raised, we got rid of dumpsters of stuff. Some of it was fine, but would never be used again. Some we just weren't motivated to eliminate, but did so later as we downsized our mini storage unit over time. First, we downsized to a smaller house and did the same discarding when we moved in. After that, we realized the new house was unnecessarily big, and we moved to a smaller condo house and got rid of more. At each stage, we felt more liberated by having less stuff. Make the same happen for you. Lesson: don't stress yourself about simplifying. Recognize how hard it is and do a little at a time. Be mindful of what Mark Twain said about bad habits. You can't throw bad habits out the window. You have to coax them down the stairs. Part 4. Your personal and work area. Paperwork is similar. Pick an annual date and use it to purge your unused paperwork. Anything you haven't referred to in 6 years, discard, which covers IRS paperwork and eliminates everything but a few official records, such as birth and marriage certificates and licenses. In home or business offices, the same rule should apply. When I ran offices before I moved all of my employees and contractors to their home offices, I never bought desks with drawers. Things got stuck and lost there. Whenever we let go of an ineffective person, we always found undealt with paperwork in their drawers, which clogged their office area and worked like a form of constipation. After a year of that, I learned to check out a desk of a questionable employee. Uniformly, ineffective employees had stuffed away things that needed to be dealt with, but they had put off. My best employees got most, if not all, of their things, moving the same day they received them, and were in what I called the Clean Desk Club. Now, in the digital era, it can be much easier except for those who still keep unnecessary backup files and data. In short, the worker's desk and area space was a picture window into their effectiveness or ineffectiveness. Make that work for you as an individual, employee, or boss. Part 5. Your kitchen, other living and workspaces, Part 2. The same approach works in your kitchen, your other living spaces, and at work. Discard any device you haven't used in 3 years. Then eat or discard old food. Then learn to buy by the meal, not just food. I buys for a canoe trip when I was a canoe guide, 28 days until the next Costco shopping trip, with a few trips to my local grocery store to fill in with a few fresh groceries until my next shopping trip. See our ebook and audiobook, Discipline for a Better Life, that covers this in more detail. Part 6. Summary. Getting things done. Decluttering helps you clear away unused things that stand in your way, so you can get work done faster, more efficiently, and effectively. Consider it like a runner losing weight to run more smoothly, faster, with less injury to their body parts, and more calmly. Eliminating baggage of all sorts works for better trips, whether long or short. Use this succinct guide to do so. Reread this ebook occasionally to refocus on your objectives and tactics. This is one of our shortest books because the approach is simple but hard. Keep up these practices every day so they become hard, ingrained, automatic habits that will create your better life. Thank you from Simply. Part 7. Better Life ebook and audiobook series. Available on Kindle, Audible, Walmart.com, Google, Apple, and other Simply customers listed on our website at simplymedia.com. Coming soon from videobookshelf.com. More videos in the Better Life series. Simply Media Inc. POB 481. Lincoln, MA 1773 481. www.simplymedia.com. Simply Media registered is a trademark of Simply Media Inc. Copyright 2020 by Deaver Brown.